Enrico, thanks for speaking with us today. Let's start with your observations on the conference in Barcelona, and I also understand that you had a secondary reason for going to Barcelona. Can you just outline that for us, please?
Yeah, I listened to the presentations and all. I don't think there was anything that was out of the ordinary with what I was used to from my previous life, which was the steel industry. Supply and demand were always going up and down. There was a period of time where the growth was there. A lot of capacity came online from China. Things go unbalanced. Then there's a balancing act that continues. I know people were somewhat negative, but in my opinion, most of the presentation said there was going to be a 3% growth, 3 to 3.5% growth worldwide annually. And to me, that's a great opportunity for a newcomer. The other reason I was there was mainly I wanted to find out if there was any vendors that I had not met that would be useful to us. And at the same time, I was actually trying to recruit experts from the TiO2 pigment industry. And after the presentation, we received many curriculum vitae, so resumes, and I consider that successful.
Well, you must have said something that caught their attention.
Oh, yeah, actually,
maybe get into that.
I discussed how a little construction company called Nucor decided to launch themselves into the steel industry, and they took a chance on a new technology, thin slab hot mill, which changed the way steel was made. And in addition to that, in the old days, not many people used the scrap, so it was very cheap. So they had a raw material advantage. And I likened us to the Nucor that took the chance on the thin slab hot mill. I said, here comes Argex, and they took a chance on CTL. And then I presented what the differences with our process were. And of course, I identified where we were equal to slag, which was in the partway in the process, right after you remove the iron. And I said, and we're still in solution, so I just go to the next step. Now I got TiO2 pigment. So I think everybody had their aha moment of this could be a game changer, though I did not use that language.
Well, you caught somebody's attention because we saw a report out of the conference from the senior analyst with Wells Fargo. And it was a quick note, but he just said that you gave a compelling presentation on a game-changing technology. So, I mean, that's quite an accolade from Wells Fargo. But in the same report, he was also talking about pricing pressure. And I know you have some thoughts on consolidation in the whole TiO2 industry. So I'm giving you several elements in one question there. But how do you see Argex positioning itself in context of perhaps pricing pressure on the industry as a whole in the future and perhaps some consolidation?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing there is, I know TiO2 is a much smaller industry than the steel industry. But that said, there's a lot of parallels to where TiO2 is today and a lot of the things that I've gone through in the steel industry going back to the 80s to today. As long as there's growth and you have technical advantage, then I don't see where the problem will be, because if you have a cost advantage, then the others are just worse off than you. So there will be, every time there's a dip, as the newer and more efficient facilities come online. So we're a little drop in the bucket. I just see that the growth of 3 to 3.5% annually as an opportunity for us to enter the market.
So as you look at Argex a year from now, here we are in the spring of 2014, and you're sitting back having a coffee. What are you going to say was accomplished over the past year?
Well, what we accomplished over the past year is the main focus of almost everything we've been doing is designing the first facility and by the spring of 2014, I'm hoping to be sipping a coffee and going, all right, well, we got our first one. Now let's start massaging out all of the and make it more efficient for the second one.
And
it's the technology that's the biggest focus right now, and improving all those things. So one of the other aspects is that the R&D facility will be very focused on operational and design testing. So bringing all of that in-house will help us to do tests the way we want to do them, to approve or confirm any assumptions on equipment choices.
Okay, and one last thing, and there hasn't been much discussion about it, but it's our understanding that at the pilot facility in Mississauga, that the technology is actually superior to what was anticipated when this whole process first started, and the product you're getting out of it is even better than what was first thought possible. Am I right on that assumption?
I would say that from a color point of view, achieving what we're achieving with raw materials that many others would not purchase is correct. I think, though, that Argex has to remain humble, and we have a lot of learning to do about the TiO2 pigment industry, despite what we think is a very good technology. So that's one of the reasons I've been focused on trying to acquire and hire a number of TiO2 pigment experts. And then we can mix the new with the standards and move forward and grow the company.